I hope everyone's ready for some more delicious Starfield cope.
All right, so here we go. A lot of stuff happening around Starfield, and you're probably wondering, Robbie, when is the next major update for the game? Well, we have some signs.
Is it the Field of View update? Or is it the Eat button update? Ooh, I wonder what's gonna be the next big update with such big things like that happening in the game.
Signs and clues about that one today that we need to go over. Plus, yes, we have got to talk about the fact that it has been 1 month since early access. What does it mean for the game and its future? And mentioning Starfield's future, we have major indications as to what we can expect as kind of like a DLC roadmap based on what Bethesda has done previously.
Ah, yes, Bethesda roadmaps. You know, the thing that they don't actually do.
With their games. This is definitely a fascinating read. We're going to dive into that one. And shots fired in the direction of Starfield, but guess who comes out to defend the game? CD Projekt Red. I kid you not. You guys have got to see this discussion. It's absolutely fascinating. And Todd Howard has some interesting words about oversaturation around Starfield's release in this area of gaming.
What does oversaturation even mean?
Yeah, we got to talk about that one for sure. And there's one location in Starfield as well that I absolutely love, and a lot of people also feel is kind of underwhelming, and that Bethesda needs to update this location big time and further expand upon it. We'll dive
the game itself? I'm not sure what he means.
into that one. So yeah, you'll probably notice something about my Starfield gameplay is that it looks absolutely beautiful. It's running super smooth, and it just looks stunning. And the reason for this is because I'm running on a Zydex PC. Now, Zydex, they hooked me up.
Oh, look at that. More overpriced junk. Nice.
My Zydex PC. Is Starfield dying off rapidly? Well,
yes.
I can safely say, no, it is not. I mean, currently, it's early in the morning right now when I record this. We have nearly 80,000 concurrent players on this game right now. Remember, this is not a heavy multiplayer-centric game. This is extremely impressive that this game is pulling off.
It's a Bethesda game, though. That means that a lot of fanboys are going to play it for a very, very long time. I guess that is the only impressive thing you honestly can say about Starfield, is the fact that the fanboys are going to 100% keep this game alive for a very long time, as every other thing that Bethesda has ever released, no matter how bad it was. Admittedly, this is a new benchmark for bad, but you know, still.
Off these numbers, and I expect it to have a steady amount of players on this as we get into Creation Kit 2 for sure. Also, yeah, about...
Oh, look at that. Another enemy that just stood still while it felt pain. The gameplay.
Future updates. When is the next major update? So that's what a lot of people are wondering. We're supposed to be getting updates, of course, to the local map, that sort of thing. And then, of course, DLSS support, official support beyond the modding community. But yeah, we do have some indication as to what's going on. If we go to SteamDB, we can take a look here, and we can see that the Dev Tech branch has been updated only 2 hours ago. But what we're really looking for here is QA staging main, because when that gets updated, then you know that things are really starting to happen in terms of updates for Starfield. Now, that was updated only 8 days.
The reason he doesn't talk about the updates, because it is only a Field of View slider, because it is only a Eat button. These are the big, grand updates that Bethesda is showing. And he has figured out that, wait a minute, calling a Field of View slider the thing that, you know, everyone has complained that didn't exist in previous Bethesda games, yeah, I can't actually name drop it, because then everyone understands how stupid these updates are and how little they do, because they don't do anything.
Days ago, but once we see another update with that one, I think we're going to get very close to what would be considered the next major patch for Starfield. I'll keep you guys in the know about that one, but yeah.
Again, what's the major patch again?
Perhaps we will be getting some sort of performance patch in the very near future. So that's something I think that we can look forward to when it comes to perhaps smaller patches first ahead of a major patch. All right, so we also have this one right here. It has been 1 month since early access. How would you guys personally rate
3 out
Starfield
of 10.
now? And oh boy, this next one definitely stirred up a big discussion, and we got a very detailed reply from one of the developers on Cyberpunk 2077. Stick with me on this one. We'll get into what the CDPR developer had to say, but it's absolutely worth a read, so check it out right here. Here's the headline. The CD Projekt Red dev defends Starfield amid criticisms that its character animations don't match up to Cyberpunk 2077. Well, there might be actual reasoning behind this. So let's get into it. So first and foremost,
Well, the reasoning is that this is a 20-year-old engine. Okay? This game would have looked impressive 20 years ago. But it's not 20 years ago.
a source of
An
this
Elder Scrolls 6 will be made on this same wonderful, trash-looking engine.
comes from Synth Potato, who says, as much as I like Starfield...
But don't worry. You can set a sandwich straight and it won't fall off unless you move it. Wow. That's so game-changing. That's so mind-blowing. Physics! Oh! Look at the Starfield engine. It has basic physics. You know, the thing that every Bethesda game has had and every game pretty much has had for the past 20-ish plus years? I don't know why that's so impressive to some people, but I guess those people are Starfield enjoyers, which puts them in a mentally deficient category of existence by default.
Creation engine needs to go. So you'll notice that a lot of this surrounds creation engine. That's the hot topic here. So we have to make that as an important
Stunning
note.
combat,
going back
by the
to
way.
Cyberpunk puts in perspective just how outdated Starfield's dialogue animations are, and it is staggering, regressing to a rigid camera angle that was left behind in 2006 with Oblivion, and entirely eliminating body language is one of the most stunningly stupid decisions I've seen designers make. Why regress to Oblivion? They had a far better angle in Skyrim and Fallout 4. Do you guys agree with that?
Well, they also had far better inventories in Skyrim and Fallout 4. They had far better talent point systems in Skyrim and Fallout 4. They had far better NPCs, far better dialogues. Why does Starfield even exist?
That or not. Sure, neither had good facial animations, but at least it didn't lock you in and remove body language entirely like Starfield does. Now, this thread goes on and on here, but ultimately it leads us to these comparison videos. You can see Judy here to the left versus, of course, Starfield, and he's kind of showing how there's no body language going on here. And then Judy, she's very much active in this scene. Now, there might be actual reasoning for this. So yeah, let's see what CD Projekt Red's very own Patrick K. Mills had to say about this one. It gets very good as we go through this thread, so let's get into it. He says this: I like Starfield a lot, so I'm not getting involved in the core critic.
But obviously the devs are gonna suck the other devs off. This is nothing special. They're just doing it so, you don't shit where you eat, essentially.
Criticisms here. But I will say the way they handle cinematics versus 2077 is not down to engine so much as it is tools and design, related but not the same. So he's basically first and foremost saying, hey, it's not the fault of the...
He's actually saying, well, the engine's not bad. It's just the people who are doing these things are stupid and inept. Which, agree.
Creation engine, there's more to this, so stick with me. He furthermore says this caveat: I'm not an engine guy, and I have only a little experience with Creation Kit, so if a programmer with that experience wants to come in and correct me, you are welcome. But I don't see any reason why they couldn't do something more elaborate if they wanted to, plus add the tools.
If they want... Wait, the CDPR guy is not even actually defending Starfield. He just did the mandatory, well, I think Starfield's not that such a bad game, but, it's clear that they put zero effort into the game. It's pretty, by the way, it is pretty clear that no one who worked on Starfield fucking gave a shit about the game.
It's not a focus for them for a lot of reasons, and the necessarily high level of player freedom is actually as big a deal as the tools. You can't do the Judy's roof thing because you can have that scene play out 100-something different planets at any time. Furthermore, he says they do some scenes that are staged in a more refined way, like meeting Constellation for the first time, some quest sequences, etc.
That's a
But they have
stupid
vastly
thing.
more scenes with a revolving cast of characters and a mind-boggling number of possible locations. Every major scene in 2077 took literal years to make. In Starfield, I could propose to like 10 different NPCs, and I could do it on any of 1,000 different planets. You can't do elaborate scene design like that. You'd be making the game forever. In other words, the game would never release. However,
Well,
I do think that they could.
that's probably a good thing, honestly. Well, no, then I would not be enjoying myself absolutely ripping on it. There's not enough. Currently, the reality is like this. There's not enough Starfield fanboy videos for me to absolutely indulge myself in because I love them so much.
Perhaps consider adding more body language into Starfield. It'd be nice to have that as some sort of update.
Perhaps add a game into Starfield. That would be kind of good. Also, just thought.
Down the road. I'm going to hold your breath for that. And I will say this, Elder Scrolls 6 does need more body language. We definitely need that for sure when it comes to Elder Scrolls 6. So I really hope that Bethesda is paying attention to that feedback going forward. Now, also, we have this one from Patrick K. Mills. He says, instead of Bethesda Game Studios puts their resources into giving maximum levels of player freedom, they are just doing something different with their time, and that's cool. You can want their scenes to be more cinematic or whatever.
What do you even mean, maximum levels of player freedom? Bro, I can also play this game. Instead of character animation, Bethesda is concentrating on the core experience. Means nothing. Instead of concentrating on good dialogue, Bethesda is maximizing their possibilities in the game as a whole. Means nothing again. This is just fluff talk.
And that's fair, but it comes at a cost. You can want their scenes to be more cinematic or whatever, and that's fair, but it comes at a cost. Yeah, and that's also another interesting discussion.
No, it doesn't come at a cost. There's no cost associated to things being better. And if there is, I literally could not care less as a consumer. I don't care if you have to work 24/7 as a completely useless, skillless game developer who is just bad at his job. I don't care if you have to work 24/7. I'm a consumer. It's not my job to care about you. Care about yourself. My job is to care about the game being as good as possible. And I know I could not care less about how many of you are sacrificed on the altar of my enjoyment and experience.
About the future of Starfield and, of course, more importantly, things like Elder Scrolls 6, because, yeah, you got to remember that now Bethesda Game Studio has Microsoft in their corner. That gets me excited. I hope that Microsoft is really willing to hire whatever type of team Bethesda Game Studio really needs to pull off.
Are you kidding me? They put Starfield on Game Pass day one. That's not something you do if you're okay with what's happening. That's like desperation that this is not the biggest disaster in gaming.
Well, many would consider it to be the impossible when it comes to upping character interactions to have all those cinematic type qualities. That's what I'm hopeful for. And honestly, that's what I really do want for Elder Scrolls 6 is that type of enhanced interactivity with NPCs. And continuing onward, it says this is like the Baldur's Gate 3 should get DLC to be real time, or every RPG should offer the gameplay and narrative agency of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes. Every game without exception should be as good or not even better as Baldur's Gate 3. I see absolutely no problem with that. And if anyone does, I have a question for you. Are you stupid? Why are you willingly lowering the bar for games? I want every game to be as good as Baldur's Gate 3. Are you kidding me? I don't care how hard it is for a game developer to create a game as good as that. I literally don't care, and I never will care. You either make a good game, or it's shit. And I don't care what's your excuse for making it shit. All that I care about is that it's not good.
All over again, but this time simply chalked up to engine. It's ignorant, and I don't mean to say that to disparage the original poster, but not every game can do everything. You can't make a game that has every feature executed to
Did you even try? No, you didn't.
the same level as the best in that field. It has very little to do with the engine you are using. And again, you know, the scope and size of Cyberpunk 2077 is very, very different from Starfield. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the ball is very much in Bethesda's court right now, and they're going to have to really decide on what they are going to be focusing up on in the future when it comes to Elder Scrolls 6. Will they go all in on upping their game when it comes to dialogue and, of course, that type of interactivity? I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, because it seems like it's headed in that direction considering the support they are getting. So I'm actually very hopeful. It's just that I'm not too worried about Creation Engine itself. You know, we've already seen some cool things happening with collaborative efforts with Bethesda and, you know, ID Software, who came in and really helped out with the gunplay. You can really feel that with Starfield. I was
helped out with the gunplay? This is the poorest gunplay we have had in any game.
Super impressed, honestly, with how the gunplay
Bethesda
feels
game,
in
at least.
Starfield. And that tells me they're willing to get the help that they need. And I think that's what they're going to do next go around here with Elder Scrolls 6. And that's why I'm kind of excited to see what NPC interactions look like in Elder Scrolls 6. I'm sure the world will be looking and waiting to see what they do with that one. All right, so yes, next up we have this article right here from Forbes. Check it out. It says Fallout 4 may indicate what Starfield DLC and additions will be. This is a fantastic read.
Forbes.
We're going to get into
Dude, Forbes has been posting shitty gaming article after gaming article recently. What's wrong with them?
This one right now says the following. We know already that Starfield is getting a future Shattered Space expansion, but as I've said, I'm betting Bethesda does more than both that and mod support coming next year. So what does Fallout 4 indicate we could see coming in Starfield? A lot of things potentially could carry over. This makes total sense. We have Automatron. It says this was the first add-on to Fallout 4, and while it had some story components, its main feature was to build your own custom robot companions. While everyone loves Vasco, I could easily see something similar coming to Starfield, mixing and matching robotic.
No one loves Vasco. He has 2 lines of fucking dialogue.
Pieces to build variants of existing models or brand new ones, or honestly, I would take some sort of new, more general companion-focused DLC, more characters being added and fleshed out a bit besides the main 4. But sure, robot building could work in Starfield.
Oh yeah, imagine more bad gameplay added to Starfield. That's gonna be so great. No, they're not gonna do it. Obviously, they're not gonna do it.
Starfield, I guess. The pieces are in place, so...
The only thing that's coming to Starfield is gonna be microtransactions, okay? That's it. Nothing else will be added but microtransactions to this game as DLC. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, that would be cool, but I think a lot of people also want to see the options of having, like, a mech this time. Your own mech that you can actually utilize, and it would speed up exploration as well. But man, we've seen some variants of Vasco, I suppose you would say, roaming around in the galaxy, in the universe, in Starfield, and they definitely have the infrastructure there to do this. So this definitely, to me, makes a lot of sense. And scrolling up, we have Wasteland Workshop. So the second add-on, of course, for Fallout 4 we're talking about here. And it says,
Jesus Christ, man. I know Forbes has been absolute garbage for like ever now, but man, these Forbes gaming articles are the absolute peak of desperation. If I had to pick which is worse, couldn't Forbes or Starfield? Man, that's pretty hard. Both of them are a complete new level of forsakenness. Okay, let's see. Oh, Todd Howard's gonna speak words of snake oil. I like that, though. I do like myself some Todd Howard snake oil.
Todd Howard also had this to say as well. It says, Todd Howard says, expectations for Starfield changed because everything is an RPG now. I can't look at a game that doesn't have XP, and leveling. This is so true, and it's kind of interesting, kind of like a double-edged sword to gaming.
No wonder the roleplay elements of Starfield are so poor. Wait, this explains everything. So, Todd Howard thinks roleplay is just XP and leveling. Okay, yeah, that kind of does explain why the dialogues are so bad. Okay, wow. Some clarity finally, huh?
So, let's get into this article. This one comes from Games Radar. It goes on to say the following right here. It says, Bethesda boss Todd Howard reckons mini games are some sort of RPG nowadays, which is partly why Starfield doubles down on the studio's classical role-playing style to stand out in the crowd.
Bruh, classic roleplay style? Starfield has the worst roleplay out of any game. There's no real choices, there's no real consequences, there's no real anything. It's an absolute joke.
Todd Howard goes on to expand his thoughts here, saying he thinks the RPG genre itself has blended into everything. I can't look at a game that doesn't have experience in leveling up. Pick any game you want, that sort of blend in. Yeah, it's getting tougher and tougher, by the way, to be an open world RPG, because wherever you go, there's an open world RPG. Even games that were never RPGs are very much open world RPGs with that RPG attachment, and to the detriment of the franchise.
Well, to be fair, yeah, gaming titles mean nothing. Diablo 4 is what? An action hack and slash role play RPG also? I'm not even sure what it is. Obviously that doesn't matter because Lost Ark has the same title, and it's stupid. Yeah, these titles don't mean anything. I mean, I think the only thing that differentiates games now is action, top and down games, you know, FPS shooters in like these big categories, like MMORPG as in World of Warcraft, not something else. I think that's it. Everything else is kind of just bad.
Seen that with games like, I guess you would say, like Far Cry. A lot of people were like, no, why are you adding more RPG stuff to this game? It doesn't need it. And one thing I'm very happy about more recently is that studios are beginning to recognize this level of oversaturation, that they're like, hey, you know what? Our game doesn't have to have the RPG attachments. We're seeing that with like Assassin's Creed Mirage, where they're going back to the traditions of Assassin's Creed. Because yeah, Starfield definitely needs it.
The reason they're going back to the traditions of Assassin's Creed is not because Ubisoft wanted to do it. It's because that there's literally not a single person with half a brain left in Ubisoft. They have just did disaster after disaster, woke after woke non-stop. The Ubisoft is gonna return to the most simplest basic things out of necessity because of lack of ability. Not because it's a choice.
It is a Bethesda game, but I get where Todd Howard is coming from, that it's so oversaturated here anymore. It is very difficult to stand out. You kind of open up a game anymore to expect the big skill tree, the overwhelming amount of perks. But yeah, sometimes you just want that game to kind of like, hey, I don't want that. Like, I'm excited for Alan Wake 2, and that better not have like a huge big ass skill tree system, which I don't think it will, but it's nice to have those options, you know, still in gaming. So yeah, that's my take on it. You know, it is super oversaturated. But at the very least, I am so happy again that some of these studios are recognizing, hey, we don't have to be an RPG. There's no need for it. All right, so we got to talk about a certain location in Starfield that a lot of people are feeling like needs an update. It is, of course, the Red Mile. Says this place has a nice aesthetic to it. I hope they add more content to it in the future. And this also has kind of like a spin-off discussion as well. Check it out right here. It says, the Red Mile is underwhelming. It says, anyone else incredibly disappointed with this thing? The game hyped it up like the grueling endurance challenge, and then it just is a boring walk up a hill with some projectile vomiting polar bears. I stopped playing last night when I found out I had to do this stupid thing a second time for one of the free star missions. Wow. And it got 4,200 upvotes, so I'm guessing a lot of people really...
I mean, name me a location in Starfield that is not lackluster and absolutely underwhelming. You can't. They're all pretty bad. The only unique location is the Space Cowboy City, and I think that's just Acid 3 using properly in some. I don't even know why that is the only unique location. I'm even surprised that there is a good location in this game, if I'm being completely real with you. But man, that does not bode confidence, you know. I guess in any way, this is pretty much it. What is there more? Your top comments. Yeah, we're not doing that. Anyway, that was open world games. One of my two favorite Bethesda shills. But you know, as time passes, there's less Starfield shilling happening. That is sad. That is actually sad because I love these videos. I really do. But him and Juicehead are pretty much the premier Starfield. Oh, this game is awesome. Don't worry about anything else. Channels, and man, they just can't release enough videos for me to enjoy. I'm not gonna lie. They just can't. Okay. I just enjoyed this so absolutely much. It's unreal. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sid. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye bye.